Welcome, bienvenidos a todos to the third Hispanic Farmers and Agricultural Professional Symposium. My name is Nolo Martínez. I am a co-president of mano-Y-ola and a member of the organizing team of the symposium. This is our third, and we're excited to have you. We're coming, a group of us, live from Raleigh, North Carolina. We have other members of our committee across the U.S. and even members of our team in Europe. Please take a moment, if you haven't yet, to select one of two languages that you prefer to use during the symposium presentation. You'll see that at the bottom of your screen, there is a globe that shows English and Spanish. I know that some of you are fully bilingual, but your choice is important as we try to make sure that everybody gets all the information. Para aquellos que están uniéndose a nosotros, le invitamos a que escojan el idioma el cual están prefiriendo.
We would like you to go ahead and choose the language of choice.
Durante la sesión de hoy. Es importante para que no pierdan la información que se está presentando. Muchos de ustedes son bilingües, entendemos que pueden hablar los dos idiomas, así que tienen dos opciones. Pero sería bueno que seleccionen una y para que puedan escuchar y participar. We are very aware that many of you wake up every morning with many challenges. If you depend on agriculture as a way of life, and many of the ones that are joining us as agricultural professionals working in many agencies have challenges. However, we're facing, for at least the last 2 years, greater challenges because of the pandemic. And we know that we have reduced the number of informational sessions, farm demonstrations. It's becoming harder to visit many of the USDA offices at the local level. And many of our farmers, as well as extension agents and people at the university that depend on outreach, one-on-one contact, they have limited their time to visit because of the pandemic. However, I think it's critically important for us to make sure that we use different technology and different ways to reach farmers and professionals to provide the information that they need. And so we decided to use the philosophy of si se puede, yes we can. We can reach out and make efforts to get to you. So again, today we would like to thank you for joining us, and we like to say that during the Hispanic Heritage Month, we are making a statement and celebrating our contributions to agriculture. As many of you know, our culture, our families have for many years not only dependent on agriculture, but it is something that brings us all together. I am incredibly proud of introducing a colleague that have become a great friend and is today the chief of the Natural Resources and Conservation Service, Chief Terry Cosby. He has over 42 years working as a member of the NRCS family. He grew up in a farm as 3 generations of farming. He started in Tallahatchie County, Mississippi, a place that I know. I lived for many years in Warren County, and I enjoy Mississippi. He is today the chief of the agency, but prior to that, he was the state conservationist of Ohio. I have great respect for what he's bringing, his drive to reach as many farmers as possible. Not only farmers that have been part of the agency for many years, but the new and underserved farmers. So I welcome you and would love for you to make some remarks to our participants and our attendees. Thank you, Terry.
Dr. Martinez, thank you, and it's great to see you. I am having a few internet challenges this morning, so hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. But what a wonderful opportunity to be with you this morning, just to share a few things about USDA, NRCS, and the work that we're doing. I know that standing right behind me is the Deputy Undersecretary, and I know that she's going to talk about FPAC, but, folks, it's a pleasure just being here with you. Three of the things that I want to talk to you about real quickly and share with you is three of the top priorities that NRCS is working on, but there's a lot of other priorities, but I want to share with you the top three. One is climate and climate smart agriculture. It's something that we all can work on and all can participate in. And NRCS is one of those agencies that's going to be within the FPAC, with all the FPAC agencies will be involved in. But we have these conservation practices that we're talking about, and we're trying to put out across this country. And we have a lot of tools in our toolbox to help folks with resource problems and resource management. And we're looking to organizations like this to help us get the word out and make sure that folks understand what climate and climate mitigation and climate smart agriculture is all about. And that's going to be very important. As you know, we have all of these different things happening around the country, from drought to fire to flooding. And so what are those things that NRCS has to offer to help mitigate some of those? And we're working through a lot of that and talking through it. And for this next year, when we roll out our programs, there will be a lot of things that's going to be new and exciting. And we're going to be asking you for your help to help us get that out. The next thing is urban agriculture. That is a key component. NRCS has been asked to lead this for the department, but it is a department-wide effort where all of the agencies within USDA will be participating. And we're also collaborating with other agencies across federal government. But urban agriculture is very important. One of the things that we see in the urban areas is your zip code could dictate your life expectancy. And so how do we help with that? We have a lot of folks that came from the farm that are living in these urban areas. So farmers is in their DNA. They want to grow local and buy local. And so how do we help them? We've established some offices across the country. We're going to continue to do that. And there are some new and exciting things happening in the urban area. And the last one is racial justice. Folks, we all have to work on this one to make sure that every person in this country has an opportunity to benefit from all the services that are out there that are being offered. Something that the secretary talked to me about is that every American in this country and people abroad, USDA affects everyone's life at some point during the day. And we need to make sure that we're doing it in a fair and equitable manner. And that's something that I'm committed to. Last week, we put out a RFP, or request for proposal, about $50 million. And we need your help. We need outreach. We need to make sure that every person in this country understands who USDA is and what we have to offer, especially NRCS. And because we're talking about resource management and land management and making sure we're taking care of this country and the land and the people that we serve for the next generations to come. So I'm proud to be a partner with you. I've had a lot of conversations with Dr. Martinez. What a great individual, and doing some great things across this country to further equality for all. And what we got to remember is, when we all work together and get this done, it's for the betterment of all of us, not for just one segment of society. So we all benefit when it all comes together and we work together. So I'm proud to be here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity. I look really, really look forward to this partnership and having these conversations and making sure that what we're offering is in an equitable manner and that it's a service to the people of this country. So thank you for the opportunity this morning, Dr. Martinez, and hopefully that I know that you're going to have a great conference today.
I appreciate you, Terry. I thank you for the kind words. I also want to say to our participants and attendees that last time we talked, I was quite impressed with your message of capacity building across the different states. Regarding that ability to multiply the talent out there of not-for-profit organizations and leaders that can actually promote this message, and the grant opportunity that you talked about is a message of an administration that is really putting resources where their mouth is. So I appreciate that very much. And I know the deadline is coming quick for those that are coming from many states. Look into that. I think it's a great opportunity to partner with agencies to show that you can actually bring messages and outreach to many other communities that many times are isolated because we don't have leaders that are connected to the agency. So thank you for that, and is a great opportunity to promote capacity. So looking forward to our partnership. Thank you very much for being here. I now would like to introduce the Deputy Undersecretary who is with us. I want to say something about Farm Service Agency. I am really lucky and happy to say that my father is joining us, and he is 91 years old, but he at one point was the director of Farm Services in the Caribbean, and he is here with us. I think Farm Services Agency is one of the most important agencies for farmers and many of us in agriculture, is that point of entry. And the culture, the philosophy of the agency matters so much. As positive, as engaging as they are, agriculture goes. So I think it's important for us to recognize that having the Deputy Undersecretary here with us to give us a message representing USDA is critically important. Deputy Undersecretary Montaño was appointed by President Biden February 22nd. As the Undersecretary, she leads the agencies that deliver farm programs and services to farmers, ranchers, and agricultural producers. The programs include loans, conservation, disaster assistance, crop insurance, and price support. In fact, later on today, we'll be talking about the Coronavirus Farmer Assistance Program. She is a former state executive director of Farm Service Agency in Arizona between 2014 and 2017. And she has worked to support congressmen that are really essential, important to agricultural committees. And in the past, she also has worked with the League of Conservation Voters, and she has represented many Hispanic interests. So I am very proud of introducing our colleague and leader in the department, Ms. Gloria Montaño Greene.
Thank you, Nolo. Muy buenos días. Muchas gracias por la invitación. Just, thank you very much for the invitation. Before I start some comments, I think I just want to share a little bit about myself. Nolo did share a little bit about my background, but I think as we are sometimes invited to do these presentations, we have to talk about some of the priorities and the policies, but I think it's also some of the values that we bring and some of the thinkings that we have and experiences of how we believe in public service and how we are looking to make our change to improve service. So I am from a small town in Arizona. My mom was born on the US side of the border. My dad was born on the Mexican side of the border, 2 hours south of it. And he has been in agriculture his whole life, but in a different aspect of agriculture. He's been more of like the operations and welding and those kinds of items. And so my parents were not farmers. We did not have acres of growth, but we had always 5 acres of some type of animal or some type of movement, and so respect and items. Many times in the agriculture space in the rural community I was in, it was not necessarily a welcoming spot for me. I did not see myself reflected in it, and there was a lot of questions of why I was there. And as I've moved through my career, it really is an opportunity of how do we remove those questions and barriers and start making sure that the expectation is when you're thinking about agriculture, when you're thinking about rural America, when you're thinking about a lot of these things is, yes, the Latino community is there, has been there, and has been very important in aspect. I've worked in various areas where community organizing with the Latino community has been really important. And the number one principle that I have is like, nos pertenece esta idea. Like, we belong to this idea, we belong to this community. And it's just making sure that what we know and what our experiences are of living day to day and living in these careers, living in this business really is the norm versus all of a sudden it has come here. So to be able to have this Hispanic forum today is a really wonderful idea because I know the community has been organizing either informally or not to be able to think about how are we accessing the programs at USDA, be it in the Farm Service Agency, the Natural Resources Conservation Services, or the Risk Management Agency with crop insurance. Some of that is, how welcoming are we as an agency? Others are, how much are we spreading the word with our colleagues, our friends, our family members to share there's help for you and it's okay to ask for help because it's not, it is something to make is a business decision that you are moving forward. So I think my experience and what I've had growing up and what my parents instilled with me, right, to always help others, to, you have 2 hands to make sure there's 2 entrances that you bring with you. You have a responsibility to have the door once you open the door, to keep the door open for others is definitely a value I take and I bring with me as I oversee and work with the farm production and conservation, which is Farm Service Agency. It is the true safety net and support services that should be the first place once you start agriculture that you enroll in. I think most of you are enrolled in farm services, but I think the other part is that you sometimes have not felt comfortable with Farm Service Agency. And so we want to be able to figure out how do we work together to remove some barriers that have been there in the past. Some of it is the programs we offer might not be fitting the industry that you are, and we need to think about considering and adjusting it or thinking about how do we modernize it. Our times are changing. Agriculture has changed a little bit. There's a lot of things in agriculture that have stayed the same. The other is Natural Resource Conservation Services. The chief clearly spoke quite a bit about that earlier, and some of the priorities we have going. We have a lot of climate smart agriculture work. It is not separate from the equity work that the U.S. Department of Agriculture is taking on. It is embedded, and we have to understand how are we thinking about programs? What are the barriers of enrollment? How are we doing the education to make sure people feel trusted and can participate in it? And finally, the other agency is the Risk Management Agency. Sometimes crop insurance, it might cost a little bit. There are a lot of supports that we can be able to help with some of the premium and the waiving of fees. It is a major business investment to have. We are having more and more disasters occur, and the risk management tools that are provided are something that can help you in your business long term. It is not a large staff within Risk Management Agency because it is a public-private partnership, and we work directly with crop insurance. So I think, there's a lot of priorities that we have over at the administration. Climate smart agriculture, forestry is one of them. How do we build back better? We know that with COVID, it was an impact to everybody. in our personal lives, in our businesses, in our work. There was a lot of supply chain disruption, but we also know that local producers and regional producers that resilience of what we need to be able to be support. We saw a little bit of how that gap was there even more so. So how do we think about engaging? Equity is a huge component for us. It is not an after, it is something that is throughout in the service that we provide. We get asked that on a regular basis. How are we working with communities? How are we engaging? How are we doing outreach and education? Some of the items that we've done is with outreach and education is, for example, Farm Service Agency hadn't had cooperative agreements to collaborate with partners for the last 4 or 5 years. We are 4 years, we've instituting that again. We're strengthening what NRCS has done with some specific focus, understanding some communities haven't had engagements more. And so like that's the Racial Just Equity Cooperative Agreement that's been announced. And we also, quite honestly, need to hear feedback. The secretary has tasked us to do listening sessions or to gain feedback, because it's not going to be, from one day to the next that equity has changed. It is going to be a constant reiterative. It is thinking about race, ethnicity, how gender, many, communities that have been historically underrepresented start being better served, better represented, and start feeling comfortable to come into our offices. So, that is the work and a challenge that's ahead of us. I ask you to join us, to share people, to come. Some of my work in the past, when I worked for a congressman or worked in other areas, and I've shared, ve a la oficina. There's a lot of individuals like, no, like I can do it by myself. I don't need help. This isn't that you need help. This is part of the solutions to strengthen your business, and how are we collaborating? And I would hope that, there's, as you work with the communities that you work with, as your colleagues in your church, your family, to be able to think of, well, maybe we should go to USDA. Let's start working with a little bit more. And I know all of you here are, because of your investment of time, but I think it's how are we showing that part of making change is coming to the USDA office and collaborating. You have some leadership that definitely wants to move a lot of things forward and wants to modernize USDA. And modernize is in technology, modernize is in equity, modernize is in climate change solutions. So I hope as you guys have some discussions or some questions or some solutions that we can work together, that you realize that you have a friendly collaborator at the USDA Farm Production and Conservation, and at USDA in general. The secretary is definitely asks for about this daily. It's not something that is not top of his mind. And just know that we know that there's a lot of problems that we're still trying to overcome for the pandemic. We ask you to think about some of the reliefs that we have announced since March, to make sure that you are eligible for them. You're going to get a little bit more detail on that. But we specifically opened it because we knew there was a lack of outreach and engagement that had happened. Some of the programs had not been written for smaller producers. And so it is making small tweaks to programs to make sure that we're removing barriers and increasing access. With that, I just want to say, thank you for spending your time today to learn about USDA, for being advocates on how we can work together, or how USDA might be able to help your community when there's market shifts, when there's disasters, there's need for conservation and programs and improvement, or if you're looking to expand your work and trying to think who can help me. Just wanted to think that, we are really working, and the leadership of USDA is really working, and to make sure dar la bienvenida to all of our offices, and to be able to work and collaborate with you. So wishing you all a great conference today, and some great success and a great crop year.
Gloria, thank you. I want to say that in the interactions that we have had, I am very clear about the fact that you don't forget where you come from, and that you are also listening and trying to inject changes where change is needed, specifically in areas where we have to have more leaders that represent a different group that for many years have not necessarily had a voice. So I will do my very best, and many of us, I'm sure, will, to support your legacy. And so count on us, and thank you for saying yes to coming to this symposium. We'll do many more. We'll try to accommodate you and your team as much as we can. Thank you very much. Pase buen día.